Besties, join me. Let's make this vanishing collar neckline dress. Yeah, I call it vanishing collar because it looks like the collar is vanishing, like it's disappearing. Or maybe you can call it the disappearing collar neckline dress. Well, whatever, vanishing collar, disappearing collar, whatever you want to call it, just let's make this dress together. Okay, now this collar or this this neckline looks a little bit difficult. It is not at all. It is very easy. Like even a beginner can make it. It is as easy as that. Now don't take my word for it. Just go grab all your pattern making tools. Let's head over to the table. Then let me show you how easy this is, and then you're going to tell me if it was really easy at the end. Okay, so now let's head over to the table. Let's start drafting our patterns. All right, so to start drafting our patterns, you are going to get your bodice block as usual. So we're going to trace out our basic bodice block, the back and the front bodice. I'll be starting with the back first because we'll be making use of the back neckline. So let's start with the back first. So you're going to trace it out with all the details. Now if you want to make a dress, you're going to lengthen it just the way I have done mine. Well, this neckline, you can actually use it to make a dress. You can use it for a dress, you can use it for a top, you can use it for a jacket. Like you can basically use it for anything in the upper section. All right, good. So once you've traced out your block just like this, the next thing you want to do is we're going to work on the upper side. So let me cut it off from the waistline so that we can easily work on the upper section. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to modify the neckline. Modifying just simply means you're going to take off a little bit from this neckline because I want my neckline to be slightly more open. So from here now I'm going to take off say about 1.5 cm. You can take off 1 cm, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to leave the back neckline like this. I'm not going to drop anything, and then I'm going to connect these parts to these parts. It's just to make the neckline slightly open. Okay, good. So you connect it like that. That means we don't need this part anymore. All right, now we're going to eliminate this shoulder dart at the back. So measure the value of your shoulder dart. Mine is 1 cm. You're going to measure it from your armhole or from your shoulder tip here. You're going to take off the value of your dart. This is 1 cm, and then you're going to connect it nicely like so. Okay, so we also don't need this part anymore, so let me strike it out. And then we don't need this dart anymore because we've removed the value. So I'm just going to redraw my shoulder line to be a little bit straight. So the next thing is we're going to need the neckline measurement. So you're going to take your tape measure, and then you are going to measure your neckline. So you're going to measure from the back all the way down to, yes, so just place your tape measure like this, and then you measure it. So here I have 9 cm. So you just record whatever measurement yours is because we're going to need it for the front. So I have 9 cm from here to here. So good. I think that's basically all we need for the back side. So now let's work on the front parts. So now for the front part, you're also going to trace out your front bodice block with all the details. I've already traced out mine. And then you're also going to cut it off from the waistline. So I'm just going to separate my pattern because I'm making a dress, so the lower section will be added later. So let's work on the upper side. So good, you're going to have something like this. Now you're going to also for the neckline here, you're also going to take off 1.5 cm, just the same amount that you took off from the back side. So you're just going to mark like so. Okay, and then you're going to determine how deep you want your V line to be, your neckline, how deep you want it to be. If you want it really deep, you can go down to about 17 or 18 cm. So for me, I think I'm using 16 cm. So from here to here is 16 cm. Now I'm going to connect this part to this part where my neckline is going to start from. So I'm just going to connect it like so. Okay, now once you've done this, you're going to draw another line from here now, from this point where your neckline is starting from, all the way down to your bust point or your apex. Okay, so now that we have this, we are going to close this shoulder dart because we don't need any dart on our shoulder. So first of all, let me trim off this neckline. So I'm just going to cut on one leg of my dart, my shoulder dart, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to cut on this line that I drew so that I can close my shoulder darts. Okay, so now I just overlap and close it nicely. Then use your sticky tape to hold them together in place to close it nicely. Okay, now if you have a wonky shoulder line like this, you're just going to adjust it and draw it straight nicely like that. All right, now the next thing you're going to do is, because we want more volume here, so we are going to close this waist dart as well. So I'm just going to cut on one leg of my waist dart so that I can have more volume in this part. Close it very nicely like this. Now you see this part is a lot wider now. So once you have this, now I just want to trim off the excess paper so that you can see it very nicely before we continue. Okay, so we're just going to place a paper underneath like so, and then we're going to draw our collar design. Okay, so now you're going to draw a straight line across it like so, and then you're going to look for the midpoint of the straight line. So just place your meter rule and then you look for the middle or the midpoint, mark it, and then draw a straight line all the way down to the apex like this. Okay, so now remember your neckline, your back neckline value, this one. So whatever you get, you are going to measure it here. So I got 9 cm for mine. So whatever you have as yours, you're just going to measure from here upwards, whatever that value is. So mine is 9 cm. So I'm just going to mark like this, 9 cm. Okay, so that's why we needed the value of our back neckline. Okay. So here now you're going to determine how wide you want your collar to be. So for me, I want my collar to be just about 5 cm wide, not too high. You can make yours slightly smaller, you can also make yours wider, it depends on you. So since mine is going to be 5 cm, so I'm going to measure from here now 5 cm, from here 5 cm. So if you are using 4 cm, you measure 4 cm on both sides. If you're using 3 cm, you measure 3 cm on both sides. So I'm using 5 cm, so I'm marking 5 cm on both sides. Okay, so that's going to be the height of my collar. Now you're going to connect these points to these points. Good. Now we're going to trim off all the excess paper. Your neckline is going to look like this. Once you fold on it like this, let me show it to you. So if you fold on it like this, you see your neckline has already taken shape. This is going to be like this. Okay, Okay, something like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do will be for us to draw our facing, because for the front neckline here we are going to face it. So you're going to determine how wide your facing will be. For me, I want to use 4 cm as my facing width. Okay, so I just draw like so, and then I'm going to use my French curve here. Remember, it's a facing, so it can actually be of any shape. Okay, yeah, something like this. So this part here is going to be my facing here, like this, all the way down to this part here. Take note of it here. So now I'm going to place a tracing paper over it and then trace this part out. Okay, okay, so I've traced out my facing and I've added my seam allowance. I added seam allowance here on the center front, 1.5 cm seam allowance, because I want to cut these 2 pieces. It's easier to cut the facing 2 pieces. And then I added my seam allowance here to turn the neckline. No need to add seam allowance on this side. Okay, so this part here, the center front, is going to be cut on fold, so there will be no need for us to add seam allowance on the center front here. But every other part, we're going to add 1.5 cm seam allowance all around for stitching it. Okay, so when you place it on your fabric, you can eyeball 1.5 cm seam allowance and then you add it to your pattern. Okay, so don't go away yet. Let's cut it together and let's stitch it together, because even the stitching is a little bit tricky. Okay, so don't go away yet. All right, now if you have not already subscribed yet, please do well to subscribe. And if it's simple, the pattern making has been simple so far, please leave the comment for me in the comment section. Let me hear you out. All right, okay, now let me get my fabric, then we place our patterns and then cut them out. So place your patterns on your fabric. Remember to add 1.5 cm seam allowance, and this center front is placed on the folded edge of your fabric. So before we start stitching, I want to transfer these darts to the fabric so that it will be easy for us. So I just get my pin, place it nicely on the dart tip here or on your bust point like so, and then give it a little mark here. And then here as well. Okay, now mark this other part or notch it, whichever. You can mark or you notch it. Let me notch it. Just notch it here. I hope you can see it. And then notch it on this side as well. Okay. So I'm going to draw my darts. Be sure of the fabric pen or the chalk you are using, because this is the right side of our fabric, so that we can easily rub it off when we are done. This is just to serve as a guide when we are ironing. Okay, So the first thing we are going to do would be for us to go and stitch the facing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stitch the center front of the facing, and then we open press the seam allowance from here to here. Okay, so once you finish joining the center front for the facing, you can overlock the raw edges so that it doesn't fray, or so that it will look nice and neat, and then you open press your seam allowance like so. Now we're going to use it to turn the neckline of the front. So you place your front piece just like this. This is the right side of the fabric, and then with the right side facing the right side of my facing, place it just like that, and then use your pins to hold them together in place. So now you're going to go ahead and stitch from here all the way down to this part. Okay, so once you get to that sharp V point, leave your needle inside, lift up your presser foot, and then turn your top just like this, and then pull down your presser foot and continue stitching. So now with these sharp points here, these sharp V points here like this, you are going to give it a little snip it down very close to the stitches, but do not let it cut the stitch. You see, snip it down very well so that your neckline will relax very well. Okay, now you're going to flip this to the wrong side like so, and then go and give it a very good press. So now for your facing to relax very well, you're going to top stitch, push your seam allowance towards the facing, and then top stitch on it so that your facing will not be peeping out. So now go ahead and press it very nicely so that it will relax very well. Now once you finish pressing it, you're also going to press this your darts. You see these darts here that we marked, fold it into two like so. Make sure they match. Let me see. Make sure they match like this. Fold it nicely. Okay, good. Now give it a very good press. You see what I've done? Then press it so that it can lie very flat. All right. So after ironing, you're going to have something like this. So if you iron it very well, you're going to have something like this. So you see my line? Yeah, just something like this. Now you see my disappearing color. Okay, it's looking nice and neat. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to join it together at the center back like so. So you're going to place them together, right side facing the right side like so, and then you're going to pin them and join them together. So you're going to join them like so. Okay, now if you want a very clean finishing, you can go ahead and overlock your, this is your shoulder, just go ahead and overlock your back to your shoulder, and then you do the same thing for this other side before you join them together at the center back like so. Okay, now you're going to take it to your ironing board and then open press your seam allowance so that it will lie very flat. So once you finish ironing, you're going to have something like this. Now you see my neckline. I iron it very nicely, folded in the seam allowance like so. You see it? very nice and neat. Okay, now we're going to attach it to the back side, but before then we're going to join the back side. So you take the two back side with the right side facing themselves. We're going to join them together at the center back. Now if you want to install a zipper in yours, so you're just going to join from here and join it maybe about 7 or 8 cm downward, and then leave this part open so that you can attach your zipper. Okay, so but you have to join this part so that we'll be able to join it to the front neckline. So when you join them, you're going to open press your seam allowance. Now we're going to attach the back side to the front on the neckline. So just place the back on top like this, with the right side of the fabric against the right side of the fabric like so, and then just place this inside like this. Okay, so we're going to join the shoulder first. So use your pins to hold them together in place. Okay, let me flip it this other side so that you can see it very well. So take this one off and then join the center back seam against the center back of the collar, just like so. So use your pins to hold them together in place. Okay, and then you pin the rest. So you're going to have a corner like this, no worries at all, it's perfectly fine. So just arrange it, use your hands to ease it, your fingers to ease it in a little bit, and then you pin. Okay, so now you're going to have something like this. Now you're going to go ahead and stitch from one tip of the shoulder. You get to this part and then you continue stitching all the way down to the other part. Now we're going to leave this one like this. All right, so when you are stitching, stitch on this side with this part like this front side facing you. Okay, so that you'll be able to stitch the corners very well. Now once you get to that part where you notched, leave your needle inside, lift up your presser foot, and then you turn like so. Okay, okay, so flip it to the other side to check how it looks. See if everything is looking nice. There are no budges. Okay, looks really clean. Look at the other side. Yes, it's looking very clean. Now if you're happy with the way it is, you are going to give this part a little snip, this corner here. So just snip it a little bit like so, so that it can relax very well. You see it? And then you go to the other side and then also give it a very little snip. Aha. Now you're going to take this to your ironing board and then open press your seam allowance. Open it like this and press them very nicely. So once you finish attaching the back with the front, you're going to have something like this. Now see how the inside looks like. So you open press the shoulder seam like this, and then for this neckline you're going to press the two seams towards the inside like this, because we're going to use this part to cover it. So you're going to place this part on it like this. Use your pins to hold them together in place just like this. like this. Make sure it covers it very well, just like this. So we're actually going to stitch from here, all the way down to this part, just like so. Okay, so that it will look nice and neat. All right, so use your pins to hold them, cover it very nicely, like this one that is showing, and then we're going to stitch. So you're going to have something like this. Now you're going to take it to the ironing board and give it a very good press. So here's how it looks. You see the neckline, very nice and neat. Now let me flip it to the inside so you can see the inside. So you see the inside, the inner finishing. You see how it looks, very nice and neat. Now you can go ahead and attach your sleeves, and then you attach your lower skirts to complete the dress, or if you want the top to complete the top. Okay, so with a finished look like this, what do you think of this tutorial? Was it simple enough for you to understand? And did you find value in this tutorial? Please let me know in the comment section. I really want to hear from you. And if you found this tutorial helpful, please don't keep it to yourself. Share with your other sewing buddies, okay? And if you have not already subscribed yet, please do well to subscribe so that when I post new videos, you are going to be notified. All right, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in my next one. Bye bye.